Did you ever ask yourself how easy it is to get data out of your SIMATIC controllers and make them available for data-driven decisions? Now here comes a short introduction on how to do that with the Brownfield Connectivity Starter Kit. Welcome back. First, let's step into the meaning of brownfield connectivity. If you look at the various SIMATIC controllers, up to almost 30 years old but capable of communicating over Ethernet, with brownfield connectivity, you can add your machines into your digitalization approach and take your machine data to northbound systems for further productivity optimization analysis. With the Brownfield Connectivity Starter Kit, you can connect to the first S7 300 CPUs arising on the market back in the 90s, the same way you would use with current CPUs out there. Of course, there are some preconditions, some things you should know before you start, but this is all very easy to handle, as you will see. So, if we are talking about brownfield connectivity, we are talking about existing hard and software in all kinds of industries to be connected to the new world, not only for SIMATIC controllers, but a wide variety of industrial controllers. SIMATIC controllers are just a very good example because they have been out there for many years already. Let's talk about some aspects you should be aware of. At first, there is the rack slot addressing. CPUs, at least the first S7 300s, they used a very strict rack slot addressing. In most cases, the CPU was located at rack 0 and slot 2. Even if the Ethernet connection was done using a CP343-1, which might be on rack 0 slot 6, you need to use the rack and slot from the CPU. The same thing applies if you have the CP343-1 on rack 1 and want to connect to a CPU using an interface module, like in the second case, with a Sinemeric 810D controller. Other or newer controllers like S7 1200 or 1500 might accept rack 0 and slot 0 or slot 1, even if the CPU is on a different slot. You are safe if you check out your hardware configuration first and use the values for rack and slot given in hardware config. In special configurations, it might be worth checking the TSAP parameter as well and using it in the advanced settings of the BFC S7 client. TSAP stays for Transport Service Access Point, which uniquely identifies the connection between two partners. When opening your project in hardware config, please check and maybe modify the IP address to your needs. Next thing is, if your SIMATIC controller is behind a firewall, you need to open the appropriate port, which is normally port 102, together with your IT service staff. The BFC S7 client is using the standard put-get communication, which is because of security reasons not enabled by default on the CPU. How you can enable it I want to show you here in the TIA portal using a CPU 1515 2PN. Go to Devices and click on the CPU in your project. Now please select the Protection and Security and then the Connection Mechanisms option in the General tab. Then check Permit Access with Put-Get Communication from Remote Partner, and don't forget to save and download it to the CPU. This procedure is similar to other CPUs. And last but not least, you must know the structure of the data blocks where you want to read data from, or you want to write data to. Up to BFC version 2.1, you can use every data block as long as it is not set up as an optimized data block. In this example, you see on the left-hand side a DB12 example, where the motor temperature is stored in byte 1. This leads you to the address db12.dbb1. In the middle you see a mapping table which explains how S7 data will be translated to BFC data. For single bits on S7, you will define Boolean as data type on BFC. A byte on S7, as marked here in red, will normally be transferred into an integer. It could be something else on the BFC side, like a float or string value, but in our case, we will define a new data point on the BFC side with this address as an integer value. And please bear in mind, integer and float data on BFC side are always 64 bits wide. Next step is the configuration itself. Please open the BFC landing page and click on Commissioning. On the left-hand side, you see an already existing machine called My PLC. Please select it and click on the plus symbol in the upper right corner to create a new client. Then select the S7 client from the drop-down list. In the Basic Configuration section, choose a name for your client and enter the first information like the IP address, rack and slot addresses, and the port number, which is normally 102 as mentioned before. As this is in my case a SIMATIC S1500, I will try rack 0 and slot 0. If you have to troubleshoot later, please check these information as well as the open port, together with your IT, in your hardware configuration again. After everything is set, please click on Next and continue with the dataset configuration. Here you need to choose a name and an interval how often you want to get the data from your controller. Now let's define some data points. Each data point needs to get a name, an address, and a data type. This is where you must have the PLC program available as reference to get the right addresses. And you must define the data type on the BFC side where your value should be stored. Remember, this might differ from the data type on the PLC side. A byte value on the PLC side becomes an integer or float, or even a string value. It depends on you and the requirements of your system where you want to transfer the data to. In this example here, I show you how to address a string value. After entering the data block in byte, please type a colon followed by string and select string from the data type drop-down list. After each data point definition, click on Add Current Data Point. If everything was correct so far, you can instantly check if data are arriving already. To do this, click on the I symbol and verify the current value. Don't forget to add the current dataset and click on Save. The final stage for now is to check if all data arriving in the interval you have defined during dataset configuration. Please click on the three-dot menu and select the I symbol. You should see now live data arriving from your SIMATIC PLC. That's all for today. We created a PLC client successfully and received data from that PLC. To get more out of your data, please check out the How to video creating a MySQL gateway or the MQTT gateway. With additional tools, you can then create your own dashboards and make data-driven decisions to your factory to, at the end, raise up your productivity. Have fun and stay tuned. The next videos are coming up.